Come on up and dance with us.
Good morning, Citrus County. How y'all doing?
Good morning.
At first, I want to thank everyone here for coming today. I think it's great you're giving up your time to come here and to be with us. I know there are football games that you want to see. I know there are family things you want to do. But let me tell you something. These unconferences are wonderful. This is the way professional development should be. You have a choice what session you want to go to, and I think that's wonderful. Now, today is a special day. Today is Apple and Orange Day. Because just as we're here today in Citrus County, they're up there in New York City doing the same thing, EdCamp New York City. A shout out to all the people there. I made a little sign for them. Now, there was a Zen master who was in New York City, in Manhattan, and he saw a vendor for hot dogs, and he said, boy, I'm going to get a hot dog. He goes up to the vendor, and he said, please give me one with all the works on it. So the vendor prepares the hot dog, puts everything on it, hands it to the Zen master, and the Zen master said, wow, this is great. Here's, and he gives him a $20 bill. And the vendor takes the $20 bill, puts it in the cash box, closes the cash box. And the Zen master says to him, where's my change? Well, let me tell you, the vendor said, change comes from within. So I want to give you a little talk about change this morning. I'm going to start off in 1948 BCC. That's when I was born. You can calculate so you know my age. In the 50s, when I picked up a telephone, by the way, the telephones were connected with cords in those days. That's right. You had to be near the wall. As soon as you picked up the phone, there was people talking. That's right, it was a party line. You had to wait till they finished their conversations, and then you can make your call. By the way, when you made a call, you had to use the rotary dial. And what people don't tell you about the rotary dial is, if the line was busy, you had to redial. And those numbers like 9 and 8 and whatnot, if you didn't get it all the way up and you missed it, you had to start all over again. What a pain in the finger. Flash forward, 1958 BCC, 10 years old. And my parents said, we were living in Brooklyn, New York at the time. We want to come down to Florida. We want to see the sights of Florida, and we wanted to visit my father's former fishing partner. We used to go out fishing every Saturday, Sheepshead Bay. My father and him had built a 30-foot inboard boat. We used to get flounders, fluke, bass, mackerel, blues. And he moved down to Florida because he wanted a boat in his backyard. So he moved down to the sailfish capital of the world. Anyone know where that is? Okay, we'll get to that later. See? First thing, I'm telling you. Pay attention. But by the way, on our trip down to Florida, gas was 24 cents a gallon. But we didn't have air conditioning. It was real hot in the summer, let me tell you. All right, we come down through Georgia. Shout out to Nancy Blair and my new friend there from Georgia. Came into Florida, and the first place we stopped at was the Florida Welcome Center, and we got our free jolt of citrus. Shout out to Citrus County here. And then we proceeded to see the sights of Florida. Now remember, this is 1958. We stopped off in St. Augustine, and then we went down to the sailfish capital of the world, Stuart, Florida, where my father's fishing partner was. We went out fishing with him, and one of us caught a barracuda that day. And then we proceeded down to Bahama, Everglades, Key West. And then we came up back north, and we stopped at the Bach Tower. And then I'm going to cry now, but we stopped off and we saw the water skiing in Cypress Gardens, which we really enjoyed. The glass bottom boats in Silver Spring. And we saw the Mermaids Wiki Watch. Now, in my wildest dreams, here I was, 1958, 10 years old. I can never imagine this, but I'm living in Hobe Sound, which is adjacent to Stuart, Florida, the sailfish capital of the world. I even carpooled for 4 years with a woman who grew up and lived in Stuart, Florida. And to top it off, my son and 4 grandchildren live right near Wiki, Washington.
Wow.
Talk about change. All right, flash forward, 1967, BCC. I was in college and I had to write a term paper on the future. And I projected in the future, I envisioned teaching machines in the classroom. Well, my sociology professor went off on me. He says, get up in front of this class and defend this paper. I said, okay, I know what you're concerned with. You're concerned with automation. You're thinking I'm saying get the teacher out of the class and we'll replace the teacher with a machine. I said, absolutely not. I see these teaching machines to get students who need remedial work to have programmed instruction that will bring them up to speed. I see the students who are more advanced can go as far as they wanted with these teaching machines. And the teacher would still be present to help all the students in the class. By the way, gas in 1967 was 36 cents a gallon. Flash forward 1 year, 1968, BCC. Don't worry, I'll get to BCC later. Probably all saying, what is this man talking about? All right. I had a big decision to make. I didn't know what course to take. I went in to talk to one of my favorite professors, a political science professor, and I said, look, I think, here I go again, planning ahead, I think China's going to become a very important world power, and I should learn Chinese. He said, no, Jerry, you should learn Russian. Now, he said that because he was an expert in the Soviet Union. He was constantly being called to Washington to testify and lend his expertise. Well, I looked into these foreign language courses, and I said, I ain't taking this course. 16 credits? Can you imagine not doing well when we were doing my GPA? So guess what I took instead?
Chinese.
I took a course, yes, you mean?
Chinese?
No, I didn't want to take a language. We had 16 credits. I took a course in computer programming.
Wow.
It was the MAD program. I don't know if any of you ever heard of Alfred E. Newman, but I used to walk around campus with my MAD book. What me worried, they used to think. They thought it was a joke. But it was the Michigan algorithmic decoder, very similar to Fortran and Cobalt. Now, in those days, back in the 60s, when you did computer programming, you had to type it in on punch cards. You had to take your punch cards and you bring them to the computer office. And then you had to come back in an hour or two, and if your program ran, you get this long connected sheets of paper on dot matrix printing. You had to tear off the edges and whatnot. And if you made a mistake, a little typing error, you left something out, you get one sheet of paper because your program would not run. This taught me to be extremely careful when I enter a URL today. Because I know you don't enter the correct address, you're not going to get to the site. Okay, flash forward one more year. 1969, I started teaching in Brooklyn, New York. That's right. I taught in East New York. Our school was air conditioned with bullet holes. You tripped over the crack valves on your way in the door. 1970s were very interesting. This is BCC. Our technology of the day was a film strip projector. If you were lucky, you had a 16mm movie camera and projector. To reproduce copies, we had the Ditto or Rexograph. I still have purple ink on my hands from that. And you got high off the odor too, right? Or you had the mimeograph machine. And what did I do with it? I have something. Oh yeah, I got this device we use, yes. This is going out now. Chalk, you probably don't even have these now. You probably have the dry erase board. And another great piece of technology, we had the manual pencil sharpener. All right. Change. Starting in the 1980s, I saw change. It's no longer BCC. Now, what do you think BCC stands for? All right. Before computers in the classroom.
Oh, okay.
That's what this age was. I didn't really see computers in the classroom until the 1980s. By the way, on that chart, I didn't use your favorite acronym because I don't like to use the F word in the public. That's FK, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, the 1980s. I started to see computers coming into our school in the 1980s. We had a lab full of compact computers, the PETs. I had a big discussion with my wife at the time, because I was also a writer, because we all know teachers aren't paid enough money. So we all have to have extra jobs. I was writing curriculum for my school district, for the New York City Board of Ed, for an organization that connected the schools with the businesses in New York City, doing career ed writing. And I worked for a company that sold education materials to the utility industry. I said to my wife, I can't do this typing anymore. It's very hard to type all the scripts and whatnot. And you make a mistake in those days, you had to use the corrected type or the correction fluid they call whiteout, things like that. And it was really cumbersome. I said, I need a computer. I want a word processor. So I finally convinced him to buy an Apple IIe computer. Now that cost a lot of money those days, a couple $1,000s to have it. Now in the 1980s, it was Jerry V, not Jerry S. You may not have been born then. On the message board, it was the techies and Jerry V, because they had message boards in those days. The World Wide Web was starting up. AOL started in 1989. Still had typewriters in the school, manual by the way, even though most people used electric typewriters in those days. And then we jumped to the 1990s. We had one PC lab in our school to start off with. The principal came to me one day and said, look Jerry, I want as many kids as possible to take computers. Would you mind, you know a lot about computers, would you mind teaching computers? Now in those days I taught them keyboarding, I taught them word processing, databases and spreadsheets. 1998, Google appeared. By the way, gas was $1.30 to $1.42 in this time. My first use of computers with a class was an email around the world project in 1999. I had a group of students come to me in the library, because I was not taking over the library, and I said to them, let's write about our school, your life, what you'd like to do, and let's send these emails to other people all over the world. And it was remarkable. We got answers from all over the world. What I did in the hallway was I created a bulletin board. I put a map of the world, and every time we got an email from a country, I would put the flag of the country on the email, take a piece of yarn, and connect that document to the country. And it was the most read bulletin board in the school. And also, I can remember doing a cooperative learning class with a math class in the library, and they were doing it on fractions and probability using M&Ms. And some of the students had a question about, how do they decide on the colors in each package? I said, you know, that's a good question. Let's email M&M. Today, you can do almost instantaneously. So we emailed, we wrote an email to M&M, and I got so excited because later in the day, they answered us. And we went out to their classroom, I interrupted the class, excuse me, I got to read this to the class. And I read the answer from M&M Mars Company. But this is what the kind of technology we used in those days. As I told you, I was asked to take over the library. And I had to scrounge around and pick up any loose computer there was to use. And I decided that I want to build a site for the teachers, students, and parents in my school. So I started a library website. In those days, I was called Library Man. On this site, I wanted to make it a one-stop shopping experience for the students, staff, and parents. So I started creating pages for each subject area. I also made a PTA page for the parents, an administration page, etc. And it just took off. And the result of my site you saw was Cyberman. I have links now, over 30,000 links in all subject areas, all grade levels. Okay, enough about me. Now the 2000s have approached. 2001 was the birth of Wikipedia. 2003, MySpace. 2004, Facebook. And 2006, Twitter. Now, I'm going to talk about this later in the PLN session. But Twitter has changed my life. I've met such wonderful people on Twitter. You can find people in all subject areas, all grade levels, but I'll talk about that later in my PLN session. In the 2000s, my principal came to me and says, Jerry, you're going to be really excited. I said, why? He said, they're coming in next week and they're going to put 4 computers in almost every classroom in the school. And I said, that's terrible. He said, what are you talking about? I said, it's great to have computers, but you can't just put them in classrooms. He said, why? Because the teachers don't know how to use their computers. They've never been trained. They don't even know how to turn them on. And the kids are going to wreck the computers. We're in a tough school. He said, no, they'll be locked down. I said, I don't care how you lock them down in this school. They're going to be destroyed. Okay, they came in the next grade, and it was the best operation I had ever seen. They had one team coming in and putting the lockdown plates, and the next team came and put the computers in, and the next team set them up. And guess what happened to most of these computers? They were wrecked. Teachers didn't know what to use them. I urge teachers that take professional development. One teacher came to me, and I showed him what to do, and he came back to me after the summer, and he said, Mr. Blumengarten, he was very formal. I like to be called Jerry. He said, you're going to be proud of me. I took a course learning how to use computers. He said, that's great, Miguel. But he said, I have a question for you. How do I turn it on? He said, because every time I went to training, the computers were on. And it was a Mac computer. You had to hit a certain key. And he didn't know how to even turn it on. But that's what we need. We need more training. We need more sessions like this session today, EdCamp, Teach Meets, things like that, where you can see what's available for you. Because it's a new age now. This is what we call the Wordle. It's a whole new language now. They have Moodle. They have AUP. I don't know if you ever heard of this. That's what you start with. Vokies, Prezzies. Now, when I did my website, I taught myself how to write a website. I taught myself HTML. When I wanted to do a spreadsheet, I taught myself. Now, when I want to do a voice thread, when I made a page on my site on voice thread, guess what? I taught myself how to do a voice thread. I taught myself how to do a Voki. Don't be afraid to try out these things and find the best use of technology for your classes. And don't be afraid to ask your students. They grew up now with cell phones and technology. Use their expertise. We should learn from them and find out how to teach and how they like to learn. Now, I have to go to a great example. I have to warn you people about something, because it happened to me. Be very careful what you see online or in teacher publications. I got in a lot of trouble reading a teacher publication in 1975. I saw a little ad that said career education, 3 graduate credits, and a trip during the Christmas break. So I said, this looks good. I'm going to take this trip. Well, someone in Boston saw the same little notice and said, she decided to take the same trip. I was in New York, she was Boston. Guess where we met on Christmas Day? Where should you be on Christmas Day to celebrate Christmas? Very good. Where? Bethlehem. We met in front of the Church of Nativity, 1975, and it changed my life. Making a little ad. Now, speaking of my wife in technology, she was like both people, had no clue. Her first technological device, when she was in charge of after-school programs in our school district on Long Island, she was given a pager. And those were the days when the pager went off. You had to run and find a payphone, which you don't find anymore, because everyone's carrying their cell phones around. And then she took over as the daycare administrator in a center that she was responsible for the attendance of 14 classes. And she came home and she showed me what they did. Because every kid came a certain day. Some kids came Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Others came Tuesday, Thursday. Kids left. Kids come in. They did it all on paper and pencil. I said, that's crazy, because she had to hand in the report every day. I'm going to teach you how to do a spreadsheet. And that's the first thing she learned on the computer, was how to do a spreadsheet. So she put a kid in, and the numbers would change automatically because the formulas were put in for her. And then she advanced in 2000 AOL. That's how she did her email. And then Facebook. Wow, it took her a while. Now she's a Facebook maven. That's how she connects. She won't go on Twitter because Twitter's not for her. She likes Facebook because, as we all know, Facebook is for old friends. Twitter is for new friends. And now, yeah, hold up what you got. Here's the tech that she has. These are her things that I steal them with. I bought it because I wanted to use it. She got an iPad, just got it for her birthday, and she carries around an iPhone. And she's on constantly now. Now, before I conclude, I want to tell you a little about Twitter and what we do. We have educational chats on Twitter. My favorite one is EdChat. This is a worldwide forum for teachers. On Sundays, starting on Sunday, we vote on the topics we want to talk about. And we have 2 sessions. We have a 12 o'clock session and a 7 p.m. session, because it's a global chat. And we want as many people as possible to participate in it. And in fact, other people have taken off and made their own, for their own time slots. There was a Brunei chat. There's a French chat now, based on EdChat. Now we have chats in just about every subject area. For example, there's an Arts Ed chat. There's a CP chat for administrators. EdTech, that's constant chat. PT chat, which is wonderful. I participate in that a lot. Parent-teacher chat. English chat. Math chat. Science chat. Social studies chat. Elementary chat. Shout out to all those people. This was started, the LM chat was started by someone in Morocco, someone in Pennsylvania, and someone in Ohio. We have an ELT chat, an ELL chat, a GT gifted chat, a new teacher chat, a music chat, a special ed chat, kinder chat, and a mid-level chat for middle school teachers. These are just some of them. So get on Twitter, join us there. Remember, change becomes a challenge, not a task. And change must come from within. Thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you, Jerry. I'm surprised you went so low-tech with that. That's good stuff.
I did it low-tech because I saw a comment by someone. You know, why have all these prezzies, all these presents? Why don't they do it the old-fashioned way?
All right.
Good stuff. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that. All right, we're going to go ahead and break out into our session rooms now. Those of you that are familiar with Citrus High School, we're going to be in our A wing. Those of you who are not, we can all go